Good afternoon. It is Monday, March 29th. Wow, March 29th. Time this year is not waiting for anyone. Time is not waiting for anyone. And I talk about time not waiting for anyone. It's very interesting, the conversation we're going to have today about time. But before we get started, let's hear from our sponsor.
Hi, I'm Matthew Pinzer, the Chief Marketing Officer at Jackson Health System. We're proud to be partnering with the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce to bring you this video series. We hope that it helps you to find new business opportunities. Hi, I'm Matthew Pinzer, the Chief Marketing Officer at Jackson Health System. We're proud to be partnering with the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce to bring you this video series. We hope that it helps you to find new business opportunities across our community, and we look forward to working with you as we move into a new year.
So I'm back, and as I said, today is March 29th. We're going to be talking with St. Fort, who is the CEO and director of St. Fort Funeral Home. Evan, how are you, brother?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I can't complain. I'm still here. I'm still alive. Been very busy, unfortunately, but I can say that things are definitely getting better for sure.
Actually, you would be one of those persons that would know in terms of things getting better. As I was introducing our sponsor, I was talking about time, and how time is flying. Here we are, March 29th, and basically April, a couple days away. We're almost through the first quarter of the year, and obviously having that we've had in the last year, you and your business being at the forefront of unfortunately on the side that probably hurts us as human beings more than others. And then sometimes it's not one of the easiest things to talk about, the business, but it definitely is a business. And so, go ahead.
No, it's a reality, right? You hit it on the nose when you said time, right? Every single day we all wake up. It's the only day that we're all promised. It's just today, right? Yesterday was the past, tomorrow's the future, but today is the present, literally, which is a gift to us because this is the only time that we should all take advantage of. Yes, unfortunately, COVID was definitely impactful on our business. And, I was actually being interviewed earlier today on NBC, and one of the questions was, she asked, have you ever seen anything like this before? And I've seen a lot in my life working here at the funeral home. I've seen just about every single situation that you can think of when it comes to someone dying and the different ways of dying. The one thing that I have not witnessed, and it was just, of course, we all at the same time experienced it, which was a massive death. And so dealing with a health crisis, this was something that I never in a million years thought I'd experience. And what I mean by that literally was, when COVID hit last year and we were getting into the really, high death tolls, I was not getting any sleep. I was working 7 days a week, receiving calls 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I would have to stay in the office late at night to help out families because it was just one after the other, unfortunately. And everybody had pretty much their hands on their heads because the individual was fine just a week ago, and all of a sudden that same individual passes away within a week or 2 weeks. So it was just something that I can't explain it. I don't think any of us can. And, luckily, I don't know if anyone has heard, if you did suffer from a COVID death, at least now, the one positive thing that the government is doing is there are funds that are allocated through FEMA. And as long as you are a U.S. citizen and as long as the death took place after January of last year, and as long as you have a death certificate that showed that the individual died of COVID, and then of course you have to have a funeral bill. Right now, FEMA is going to start taking applications next month, and the amount that they're willing to give as of now is $7,000 to cover the funeral expenses that the family members had to incur. So I think that at least is helpful coming from the government for individuals that were pretty much, taken by surprise with a family member dying from COVID.
Right. That's what you said. We're never prepared for the most part. In particular, when this whole pandemic hit us, we have the older folks, young folks. There's no particular age group that has not been impacted. Obviously, we hear that younger population get COVID, but not necessarily die. Older population had. But the other thing, talk about FEMA, back and forth a little bit. The one thing is planning. I'm trying to remember the movie with Brad Pitt. It's talking about death and it's always going to be. And so in our community, kind of push this off. You want to talk about that a little?
No, for sure. It's one of the subjects that I love to talk about. And I tell people all the time, one of the things that separates successful individuals from individuals that are not successful is one thing. If you look at one of the most common traits in, let's just say, wealthy people, they didn't just happen to be wealthy because they woke up one morning and got wealthy. Majority of individuals that are successful in this world is all because of planning. That's really what puts us at the forefront and what separates us from another. So my thing is, you can't put yourself in a situation where, let's just say you're in a dual, a husband and wife, right? A husband is a breadwinner, and then let's just say he passes away, and his income, of course, becomes detrimental now because there's a loss of that income. So if you don't plan for that, then what are you going to do for your children moving forward or for your spouse moving forward? It puts them in a bad situation. And so, I blame ourselves for not planning. I mean, a lot of us, fortunately today, think about it. You plan to go to schools. A lot of us plan to go to college. Some of us plan to get married. Some of us plan to purchase our first home. Unfortunately, the way this world turns is we're gonna pass away. So it's the same concept with planning for death. Again, with funeral expenses, why pass on those debts to your children or to your spouse? And it's really simple, right? You can solve these things by a lot of different factors. Life insurance is one, right? If you have life insurance. If you don't have life insurance, you can sit with someone like me and discuss what it'll cost. And then you can actually put those funds away with us, and those funds sit in a trust. And the same with your bank accounts. People even forget to have a beneficiary on their bank accounts. And then what ends up happening is the spouse, when her husband passes away, has to hire an attorney that's going to charge you a percentage to get the money that your husband forgot to put you listed as a beneficiary. So there's so many simple things that we can do. It's just about having the conversation and making sure that you educate yourself so that you don't get caught up in these cobwebs. And again, it's simple. If you don't understand it, you can simply call someone that like me or someone that's in the field to kind of like give you some more knowledge.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Again,
Again,
when you think about death, it's
think
probably
about death. It's probably
like the things we want to talk about,
things we want to talk about,
whether it was family, relationship.
family, relationship.
So how do you
How
educate? How do you see going
How do you see
about
going
educating our community?
educating our community?
The fact that death
Fact
is
that
inevitable.
Death is inevitable.
I think, well, I want to say thank you for having me today, because this too, Eric, is great what you're doing by having me on. We all know that COVID was impactful, so the fact that you have me speaking about this today is a platform to educate the public. In terms of, what I do personally, for all of our clients, I always do my best to educate them, and of course it's up to them to decide what they want to do. And we go out publicly too from time to time to different functions and educate. So if you're looking for more information, I think the best thing to do is to speak to either a funeral professional, or maybe if you have a financial advisor, or let's just say we talked about life insurance. If you know someone in that field, you can talk to them too about setting yourself up so that there's funds that are available for death if something were to happen. Because you think about it, you're dealing with two situations. When you get close to someone in life and then you lose that person, you're grieving. So why put that person in a situation where they're grieving, stressed out, and then you're gonna add to that financial stress.
Right.
Right.
Again,
we
all think we're going to live forever. And how do you speak to someone about embracing that and looking at it from a positive perspective? Even though death is not, but again, it is inevitable. But when you're talking about family, taking care of those things, having those things in place, it's not a burden to folks you leave behind. What do you make begin to feel good about
that? So it's a good question. Like you said, I don't think anybody feels good about having the conversation about them passing away, right? Unfortunately, yes, we all believe that we'll be eternal. But in terms of having that conversation, I think it simply starts with just thinking to yourself, in what position do you want to place your family in? If you're the type of individual that wants to put your family in a good place, once you leave, then you definitely need to have the conversation, I guess, starting with them. And what I mean by starting that conversation with them is even me, like fortunately today, my parents are still around, but we've had the conversation about like, okay, well, where are your documents? Is there a will? Do you have anything set up in place where the bank accounts have us listed? Is there life insurance? So I think, those are the questions you should have with your family or your spouse or your children, knowing like, okay, well, what is it you want in terms of a service if something like that happens? Again, I think COVID definitely kind of all hit us and gave us kind of like that reality check, because like you said, a lot of people just don't think about it, and now it's forced people to think about it. Is there a simple way of having the conversation? I don't think so, but the real importance is having the conversation. It's like I have, 2 young children. I want them to go to college, and I've already put aside funds for them so that if they do decide to go to college one day, that their funds are there so that they can, be available so that it doesn't put us in any situation where we're having to fork over money. So it's the same thing with death. Put yourself in a situation where if you pass away, right, your documentation is easy to find. Either you have a will set in place, either you have a life insurance set in place where your family actually knows about that life insurance policy and where it is. And then again, if you've sat with someone like me you can actually plan for the service, put those funds away, and then give that information to your family so that it's all said and done.
Right. And going back to COVID, we spoke about it earlier. Various age groups. Things that are young folks, they're getting sick, but they're not. What has been your experience?
Good, it's a good question. So, I was talking to my wife about this because she's a pediatrician, and we both work on complete different, aspects. I deal with death; she deals with young children, and I've dealt with all age groups for the most part. Majority, I would say, 40 and above. I've had individuals that were in their 30s too. But it is interesting what you bring up, Eric, because I have not had a single case of anyone under the age of, I would say, 20 years old, or any. I haven't had any children, and so I don't know if this is just a God-given gift to us, because we have enough to deal with already, but we have not had any children that have passed away from COVID. Fortunately, it's just been individuals that have been, I would say, for the most part, 40 and above is what is the age group that we dealt with.
Right. Obviously, we run a chamber. You've been a member of the chamber, and and I'm positioning this question. We ask businesses what do they do during the pandemic, and from a funeral home perspective, I would say, anecdotally, your business probably has not. But what has been the difference? Have you seen more cremations because of COVID, or what has the service been like?
Good question. So for us, yes, COVID had definitely spiked up the death toll, which I think affected every funeral home in terms of what they were handling on a day-to-day basis. So yes, we, definitely our business did increase. As far as what changes took place, I'll tell you, I mean, even I had gotten COVID, unfortunately. I had to quarantine for my whole family, which was just so depressing. But what we did, when we, for example, already had a digital platform in terms of having documentation set to families via, DocuSign or email or what have you. And luckily for us, we were already set up to be in a place to where if we can't meet with that client physically, so majority of our clients will sit with us in person, but we already had a platform where they don't have to. So a lot of clients started meeting with us virtually, and we would just send them all documentation, show them everything online. And, at its peak, when we had COVID, unfortunately, what happened was the governor did reduce funeral services to 10 people that could only attend. And so because of that, what became very popular was a lot of our clients started to live stream services. So we offer live streaming here. And so we were doing a lot of services where families would just have to see the services virtually. Now in Miami, fortunately, for a lot of families, the city is opened up. So we're back to doing funerals normally in terms of just the attendance. The only requirement now is for families to wear face masks when they come in. That's really just the requirement now. But it was detrimental because with us, we deal with, of course, majority of our clients are from the Caribbean, and they like to have your traditional funeral service where they attend it, kind of like having a family reunion in a sense. Right. And just imagine, right, you have a funeral service for your mom or your dad, and only 10 people can show up. It was really, really, just depressing. And we even had clients that would ask us, can you just hold off and hold my mom or my dad for a month, 2 months, because their hopes were that eventually the government would open up again so that they can invite people to attend the service. So we had families that waited, and actually some of them waited more than 2 months to see if things would change.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully moving forward, we we begin to see some normalcy or the new norm. But if someone wanted to get in touch with you about that.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to get in touch with me, of course, online, you can check us out at stfordsfuneralhome.com, or you can call us directly, and that number is 305-940-1428. We're on Facebook at St. Ford's Funeral Home, and we're on Instagram too, at St. Ford's Funeral Home. So feel free to reach out to me if you need any information. I'll always make the time. My name is Evan St. Ford. I'd be glad to provide anybody with any information that they need.
And you're located in North Miami-Dade, correct?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Thanks. I forgot that. So yes, we're in North Miami Beach. We also have 3 funeral homes in Haiti, and we're currently getting ready to open up another funeral home in Fort Pierce, Florida soon. So yes, if you need to reach out to me, I'm in North Miami Beach. That's where I'm.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks
To let
for having me.
if you want to get in touch with the chamber, we're at www.m-dc.org, or they can call the chamber at 751-8648. And thank you, Evan, so much. Very educational. Look forward to hopefully seeing you in the near future.
Thank you, Eric.
Seeing you.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Hopefully this year we'll see each other definitely in person.
Absolutely.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
No problem.